Hi, welcome to the Data Tech. So today I'm going to show you a SaaS product. We are going to build a URL shortener product. It's again a SaaS, so software as a service, right? So first of all, what is SaaS? So before getting into building this URL shortener, right? So what is SaaS, right? So software as a service is a service provided by leading cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud or Azure. So I made a separate video of explaining what is SaaS. You can find the link in the description box of this video, but still I can explain you in a short what is SaaS. Imagine if you want to download a Word software, right? MS Word. So you download it, you install it, and then you have to like pay for it for the license, and then you do all the work. And imagine if your mission gets stuck due to the RAM shortage, like you have to close the application, right? Now you are taking care of installing and you are taking care of handling the software. Now, when I just say SaaS, that means the software is something that the provider should take care, installing or monitoring and everything. You just need to work with it. Imagine now a better example of SaaS is Google Docs, right? It's in the browser, you just open Google Docs, you don't want to install anything and just start working on it without installing or handling the software. So that is what SaaS is. Example, Canva, where you create the banners, right? Design banners. So Canva is a SaaS, and then Netflix is a SaaS. So these are some examples. Now, URL shortener is also a SaaS product. I'm going to show you how to build it in a simple, using very simple tech stack. Okay, fine. So if you see, when you just Google for URL shortener, you will get a lot of applications. So this video agenda is to understand the design, how the URL shortener as a product they have implemented it. So we are just going to do a clone of it, understanding the architecture. It's not like the agenda of the video. I'm just asking you to build it and sell it, right? You can still able to do it, but then like I'm just showing you how to build it. So when you just search for URL shortener, there are so many links you can able to see. Bitly is one of the very famous URL shortener. So first of all, I'll tell you what is URL shortener. So you have a very big URL. Imagine you are sharing some Instagram video or a YouTube video, a playlist. When the URL is very big, you can able to shorten it and then you can share. I'll just show you an example. If I just open my LinkedIn, right? So you can see this is one of my posts in which I'm sharing all my videos, my YouTube videos. But when I post the link, it is actually the YouTube link. Okay, but after when I create the post in LinkedIn, the LinkedIn itself shorten the URL. You can able to see it starts with LNKD, which is short form of LinkedIn .in, and this 8 digit. So this, if you count right, G8VT. So if you count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this 8 digit character or a number or it's a string, whatever it is. So this eight length of character, the string, right? It's a shortened URL. So this is what the actual shortened URL is. So I'll just show you some URL which is very big. So imagine now I'm just want to share you the playlist, one of my playlists. See, this is one of my playlist link. If you just see here, the URL is very big, right? So I just wanted to get, okay, let me just get the SQL masterclass playlist link. Let me just click this and you will see get shareable link. I'm just copy it, open a new tab and I'll just paste it. See how big the link is. So if I just paste it as is, right, it will take 2 lines. It will break and the link goes to the next line and is not kind of readable. Right. So LinkedIn is one example where I showed you how the shortened URL is taken care by the LinkedIn itself. So you don't want to go for any third party websites where to create this. But then if you take YouTube, right, let me just go to YouTube and then open one of my videos description. I'll just show one of my YouTube video description where I have added a lot of my YouTube links. You can able to see, but YouTube description box doesn't shorten the URL. Right? If you just paste the URL, like for example, I just paste my playlist URL which I copied. So if I just paste it here, it will be the bigger one. So if you see here, right? So I've just pasted. See, it is very big. Sometimes even it will be more than the size of the description box. It breaks the line into seconds, so it is like kind of clumsy, not readable, right? So that's why if you see here, right, I'm just using some of the URL shortener. So if you see here, so let me just show you. Yeah, see, I'm using Bitly. So it starts with Bitly and then the playlist link. So this is all like how I'm just see, this is all Bitly. But if you see this one, so this is actually the video link. So video links will be very small. So I'm just using it as is. So even the video links are being shortened in a way, like you can see youtube.be and then they are giving the shortened URL. But for the playlist, they won't give you in a shortened way. So I am just doing it on my own. Right. So Bitly is one of the leading URL shortener. It provides the QR code for the link. It provides the link, shorten link for the longer one. So if I just show you some bitly, see here, this is one where you can create a link. When you just paste the link and then click create your link, it will just show you the shortened one. So for this particular link, I already have it. So let me show you how the link looks like. See, this is the longer URL for which they have given a very small URL form. I can just share it to you. Right. And also you can see the analytics. So via the shortened URL, how many people have visited my YouTube playlist. So I can able to see the analytics. And also I have a QR code. Instead of link, I can even share the QR code, right? They have analytics also. And if you ask me what is the, you have to, it's a paid one or something, it's actually the paid one is still there, but I'm using free version. So they have some limitation, but almost I'm using this for 4 or 5 years, but still I'm just using the free version only because I haven't crossed the limit of creating the URL. So you can create one such product. I'm going to show you, maybe you can monetize it by selling it, or you can just deploy it in the cloud, and making it as a perfect SaaS product is also fine. Right. But first of all, we have to learn how to do this, and how to, I will also show you, I will give you an idea how to add this as part of your resume and everything. Fine. So let's just start the implementation. So I explained you what is URL shortener and how exactly market and people they are using this kind of products. Okay. So first thing, what we are going to do is, see, I will just show you what is mainly we are going to do here. Just give me a second. Okay. So I'm just using the tech stack to create this URL shortener. One is Python, and then MySQL, and then REST API. So in Python, I'm using the Flask library. So Flask is used to build the web application in Python. Then you need a Flask library. So with that, you can able to build web applications. And then I'm just using some of the hash libraries because to shorten the URL, I'm just going to use some hashing algorithm to shorten my big URL to the small one. Okay. So, and then MySQL. So why do we need a database here? Okay. So here, imagine that you have a long, big URL, right? So, and you are creating a shortened URL. So we have to maintain the metadata, right? So whenever a user click the shortened URL, how come the product knows what is the equivalent long URL, right? So you have to maintain the record somewhere in the database, in a storage. So whenever people click the shortened URL, it has to come to the DB. It has to check what is the exact shortened URL that the user clicked, and for that equivalent longer URL has to be get retrieved from the DB, and then the redirection should happen in that way. Even the bitly what I showed you does the same thing. It stores my longer and shorter URL in a database with some ID, and whenever I click the shorten URL, it goes to the DB, it searches for the equivalent long URL, and it takes it and redirects to me to my playlist. Okay, so we need a database to maintain that. Okay, so first thing I'm not going to show you. So and one more thing, I'm using REST API. That means I'm going to use get post methods to do this. So what is REST API? So I have already made a video. So you can just so this is a second reference video. First I told you SaaS to check, and the second is REST API. So in what is REST API and how to use Python with the REST API, I have a separate video. You can check it in my description box. The link will be there. And then still I'm using MySQL here. So you need to know how to install MySQL in your Windows. So I have a dedicated video for that as well. So far I've told you 3 reference videos. Before you start this video, you have to check for it, right? And please do this completely in practical as well. Okay, freshers, you can add it as part of your resume too, because people used to ask me in most of my project videos, bro, can I add it in my resume? Can I reuse this project? Yes, of course you can use it. I'm giving it for free in the YouTube as a video. So you can use it. So that means you can use it, right? Fine. So here first, before getting into building a website, so I'm just going to build a web product like a text box and button. In the text box, you put the URL, and when you click it, it just converts the longer URL to the shortened one. So the thing is, before getting into it, first my agenda is to show you how to create a shortened URL. Then let's all go to that web application Flask, adding REST API to it and all later. Okay. So I'm going to use the hashlib library and then base 64. First, what is hashlib? Hashlib is a library which will have some set of hashing algorithms. And I'm just going to call one such hashing algorithm to convert my longer URL to shorter one. So this is as part of the Python it comes, but still, if you get some error with this, you can install these libraries with the pip command, pip install, right? We used to do that way, pip install and the library name. Or else you can, if you are using PyCharm as I'm using here, you can go to settings, file settings, and then Python interpreter, this plus icon, and you can search for the respective library. Imagine if this is the library, then click it, you can install it. I'm just showing the sample. This is not the exact library. Okay. And then you can install it. Fine. So now everything is already there. Now I'm just writing a method and then I'm calling the method. And this particular method accepts one argument which is called long URL. And then you can see for this method, I'm passing the value for that variable. And whenever this method is called for this long URL, this particular URL will be get substituted. Okay, fine. So now I'm creating a variable as hash object equal to this library hashlib dot SHA-256. So SHA-256 is a hashing algorithm like that. We have many other hashing algorithm like murmur3 hash algorithm and then SHA-256, right? I'm using SHA-256 and I'm passing my long URL and I'm encoding it. Now, what will be the output of this line? Let me show you. I have a print statement in line number 7. So let me just comment the print statement line number 8 and I remove this digest. I'll tell you what is this digest later. So I'm just printing the hash object. That's it. So just let me run it. See, you can see it is printing the hash value like this, but it's not like kind of an it's a not even a readable format, right? So what I'm going to do, so in hashlib they provide a library function called digest, which will convert this hash into partially readable format like a binary format. So let me just run it again. Now you will be seeing a different value. See here. So this is again some kind of a binary format. Now, again to make it more human readable, like a string to print some numbers and the characters as a string. So we use this base 64. So this base 64 will accept the encoded value in a binary format and convert it to a string format, like a kind of a readable. So that is what I'm doing it in the next line. So short has equal to base 64 dot URL safe B64 encode is a function that is there in the base 64. I'm just invoking it and then I'm passing this hash object and I'm doing a digest because digest we already did, right? So let me remove the 6 decode and all. Let me just remove this. Now I'll put comment statement for print line number 7 and then remove from the line number 8. So I'm just show you what will be the output of the short hash. Let me run this. We are using base 64 to convert the previous value into some string readable format. Now it's all readable, but still this is very big, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say that I need only 6 characters of this particular hash value, right? If you see here, right, let me show you. Yes. So if you see here, right, Bitly provides me after the domain name you can count from 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 characters they are giving me as a from the bigger hash value they just took only 7. If you go to LinkedIn they are giving 8 only. Like that we are going to use only 6 characters. So for that only I'm just putting 6 and then decoding it. Now I'll just remove the comment from both the print statement and then I will run it. You will see the shortened hash value of my URL. This is the one. Okay. So now this in this video, like sorry, in this particular session, right? I just showed you in this particular code, I showed you how to generate this 6-digit hash value. All right. Now let me show you the actual bigger picture of code, right? Which involves all the REST API and the MySQL connectivity. So first thing I'm going to use Flask because I'm going to build a web application for you. And the second thing I'm here using MySQL connector. So I need this library to be get installed. And then hashlib base 64 is still required because I have that longer URL to shorten through that hash thing. I have done it here. Okay, that is again, this one is just a sample to show you, but same thing I have rewritten in this code also. So these are the libraries which is required. Imagine if MySQL connector is not there, you have to install that library. Okay, and then like installing MySQL in Windows, as I told you already, the video is there in the description box of this video. Description box of this video. Fine. So I'm just initializing the Flask and then I'm just creating one JSON for the DB config. So I'm just saying in which particular host my MySQL is running. It is localhost username for my MySQL, password for my MySQL, and the database name. So after installing MySQL in your Windows, if you search for MySQL, you will get this MySQL command line client. Just double click this. When you open it, it will ask for it will ask for the password root. So while installing MySQL, it asks for username and password. Please give root as a username and password. For both username and password, you give root so that it is kind of universal, so you will not forget. Enter. Now let me run show databases. And if you see, I have the database test. So that is the one which I'm giving here. Now imagine like you are not having a database, right? So just imagine, let me just open it again. Okay. So now imagine that you don't have the database test, then you have to create. So create database test, semicolon, right? So you have to create one. So once you create, you have to create a table which is required for this particular exercise. So I have shared the create table DDL also. You just have to create it. That's it. So I already created it. So let me just show you use test and then show tables. Okay. So if you see here, like I have this URL mapping as a table which I wanted you to create. So this create table DDL is there in the as part of the code. You can find the link from the description box of this video where I've shared the code. Fine. So now if you come down, I just created a method get DB connection. So I'm returning MySQL connector connect and then I'm passing the DB config. So which will create the connection with your MySQL. And I'm just writing inside a method. So whenever the connection needs to be created, I just can invoke this method, right? So if you see three occurrence, right? So two times I invoked it in one of the redirect URL method, and there is another one uh, in the shorten URL method. So I'll explain all these methods and code. Next thing, generate shorten URL. So this is what I showed you as a separate code. Now I just skipped this because I already explained it. So this is where the actual URL shortener thing will happen, and this method also being invoked whenever it is required. And before we get into it, so I create a web application as I told you, so that I have some HTML file which I show you, which is index.html. So to create this HTML file, you have to create a folder as template. Okay, folder as templates, and within that only you have to give your HTML file. So if you are using PyCharm within the project where this URL shortener py you have, in the same project folder you create another folder as templates, and then you have to add your HTML file. If you are doing outside of PyCharm, maybe in the command prompt means from the directory where your code is available, in the same directory create a folder as templates and then you put your index.html within that folder. Okay, fine. So index.html is a very basic HTML. I haven't written any JavaScript or any other server-side scripting, just a normal HTML head tag, and I created a form. So why form? So form will invoke an action when I click the submit button. Okay, so that's why I create a form here. What is the action here? So this part. So this part I will tell you later. So now I create a label as enter URL, and I create a text box, and in the text box you have to paste the longer URL, and then finally you have the shorten a button. A submit means it's a button. So when you click it, it goes to the action called slash shorten. What is slash shorten? Okay, let me go back to the code. Now, if you see here, I have something called app.route. This is what REST API is called all about. So you route with your URL. So this is a Flask application. When you run this code, you will get a URL in which you will see the output of your application. So that is something like, for example, if you go to a website www.dataengineeringtamil.com. So if you go here, so when I just say the home page www.dataengineertamil.com slash, so that is a home page, right? So that slash is what this slash means, it's a home page, right? So whenever your URL slash when you give, it goes to index.html. I'm rendering this page, I'm reading. Python is reading the data from the HTML and it is going to show you. And then this index.html, within that I have something called form action. So when I click submit button, it goes to slash shorten. So this slash shorten is again a REST API call. You can see here shorten. That means when I click the URL which has been printed in the Flask application in the console, if I click it, it takes me to the index.html and I fill all the URL, and when I click submit, it takes me to the slash shorten, which is nothing but this method. Okay, so here again I'm just getting the long URL from the form index HTML, and the text box you are giving the URL, right? I'm just getting it and I'm checking whether the URL is there. If the URL is not there, I will print as 400. These are some code available in the REST API. You might have seen in some websites when you try to interact, it says 404, right? That means the website URL doesn't exist. So like that, there are several code. If the URL is not available, then the code number is 400. Okay, so you don't want to get a lot of confusion about this. Just this is one code, and 404 is another code which we use widely in the REST API calls. Okay, now I'm just creating the connection. So why do we need a create connection here? You are just shortening the URL, but why you need it? Let me tell you. So now I'm just creating a connection with my DB, and then I'm just creating one more object for cursor, which is called cursor, con.cursor. So what is cursor? Imagine when you connect Python with a DB, you have to run select queries, insert queries, update queries. Some queries you have to write You need to call in Python. And if you want to execute that query, you need a cursor object. Okay, let me further show you the code. See, I'm just doing some select statement of to my MySQL, but to execute this, I have to invoke an execute method that is belongs to the object cursor which you created it here. So cursor is required to execute the queries. So why do first we need to do a select? Okay, let me go back to the bit.ly. Okay. See, when I try to paste the long URL, when I click create, it says this longer URL is already available in their database. So that means whenever user submit their link, first I have to check whether that longer URL is already available in the table or not. So first I'm doing a select shorter URL, because the longer URL is the input you will give, and it will check for that the equivalent shorten URL is there or not. Okay. So select shorten URL, but from the table where condition is longer URL. Okay, so you have to pass this longer URL by giving %yes. So now imagine if this is there. Okay, the URL shorten URL is already there. That means it will fetch it for us, and then it will just print that, right? If exist entry con.close connection closing, and then printing it. Okay, I'm just printing that particular URL in the web page. So I will just walk through this this return statement later. Okay, for now we can skip. Now again, imagine, okay, now the shorten URL is already not present, means then you have to make an insert. Okay, so now again shorten URL equal to generate shorten URL. I'm invoking the method generate shorten URL and I'm passing the longer URL. It takes you to this code. It will create that hashing thing, all those stuff which I explained before. It will create the URL, and then I'm just inserting that shorten URL. You can see shorten and long both into the table user mapping, and then I'm committing the connection and I'm closing it. That's it. Simple. Now again I'm returning it. See, even if it is not there, I create and again I return it. Right. Okay. So now the next thing. Now if you see here, next redirect. Okay. Now the shorten URL is displayed in the web page. Now if you click that shorten URL, it has to take you to the actual YouTube playlist, right? Or whatever the URL. So that is also I am writing here. Again, I'm creating a connection, and then cursor execute select. I'm taking the equivalent short URLs long one. So in the where condition, it is short URL. So I get the long one, and then the redirection will happen. Okay. And finally, I'm just closing my, okay, I'm fetching it. And then, okay, now I'm doing the analytics also here. So here, when I showed you, right, I said that they are like showing you the number of engagements. So 65 counts of click happened via this shorten URL. Okay, so this analytics also I need. So now I'm just writing a piece of code. Whenever the user clicks the shorten URL, the count will be keep on updating. So update set click equal to click plus one, the particular column plus one. This is how in the MySQL you have to, in the SQL you have to do an increment, right? So whenever user click it, the value will be keep on increasing. So I'm just closing it and I'm returning to the longer URL, and finally I'm closing the connection. Right, now let me run this code, and then I'm just show you few things I said I'll tell you later, right? Let me run this code. So the Flask application will be get started. Okay, so my Flask application started. This Flask application got deployed in 127.0.0.1 5000, which is local host. 127.0.0.1 is nothing but the local host. Click this. It will open in a browser. Okay. Now here it is asking to enter me the long URL which needs to be get created as a shortened one. Let me choose the playlist link, which is very big. So now I'm just going to click this. But before that, what I will do, I will go to my database. Okay. I will go to my database, and then I will truncate my table URL mapping. Okay. I will truncate, and then I will describe and show you the columns which I have. Okay, so I have ID, which is auto increment. So we are not inserting the value for ID. Longer URL, shorten URL, and the clicks is what gonna happen. So now select star from URL underscore mapping. Okay, empty. Fine. So now just see here. Now if I just click this shorten URL, an entry will be made in my MySQL database with click count as 1, sorry, 0, because the click have not happened, and it will also display the shorten URL here. Okay, shorten. Okay, see, I got the shortened URL with only the 6 digit of hash. Now you can ask me why I'm seeing 127.0.0.1. Okay, let me go to the code and then I told you I will explain you this return statement later, right? Now I will explain. See here, request.host URL I'm saying. By default, my host URL is localhost 127.0.0.1. No, I need something like how you showed for LinkedIn. Like they have lnkd.in and YouTube also has something like that. So I need something like that. Okay, let's do that. So what I'm going to do, I will just comment this hash and then I'll just go for the previous one. Okay. So I'll just comment the first return and then uncomment the second one. So if you see here, here in this, I'm just putting HTTP DE or DE.in and then slash the shorten URL. Now I will restart it. Now I'll restart it. So again, going back to the home page. Okay. So now again I click shorten. Now you will not see 127.0.0.1. Instead, you will see de.in. So you can have your host name also hard coded in the code. And then you can show like this. So now it looks like a real time UI, right? URL, right? Now if I click this should take me to the playlist. Okay, let me click. See, I clicked it, right? So after I click it, if I come back to my select statement, you will see the entry. So ID1, which is auto incremented, and the longer URL and the shorten URL hash value. Since I clicked it, it is 1. So if I come here, even before clicking it, it will be 0, but I clicked it, so it is 1. See, I got my playlist also. Right, now again, I'll go back. Okay, again, I'll go back and I'm going to click this one more time, or I'm just sharing this URL to my friend and he is clicking it just one more time. And then again, you go back to the DB and then run the select statement. Now you will see 2, right? So we are seeing some analytics, some sentimental analysis also. So now I can say, like, for this particular URL, I can write a query to get the number of counts, right? So simple, right? So now, so again, see, this redirection is happening, right? So that's all, guys. So this is very easy. And if you need such videos to for project videos like a clone of SaaS, you can just comment yes, so that I'll come to know I can make more videos. And one thing, the complete video I'm just going to upload in the YouTube channel. And one thing I just wanted to tell you is I have shared all the code, the complete procedure, complete steps, and how to project this in resume, and how you can create the roles and responsibilities, right? So and so. Like, let me show you. See all these complete steps and how to add it in the resume, how to say this as a project in the interview. So I have everything as documented here, and you can see even like how to add this in the project to your resume, and then like how to turn this into a fully monetized. Okay, if you want to take this to next level, okay, you create an AWS account or Google Cloud account, create a Lambda function, and you can do a real kind of deployment you can do. So how to do that if you wanted to do that? So I just added everything here. And then if you want to like project in the interview, how to do that? So all this is provided as a document. But to get this document, you want to buy me a candy. So it's nothing like I have this guide in my TopMet. Okay, in my TopMet is where people used to provide consulting. It's there in my TopMet as a digital product. You just have to pay 3 rupees to just download this. So just 3 rupees. So it's like you buy me a candy. So why I have to do it 3 rupees? Because 3 rupees is not a big amount for you, for me as well. But why to do that? To be frank, to be open, I just want to derive traffic to my TopMet page. So people will come to know that I'm providing consulting and other digital products I'm selling. So that's the only reason, guys. So if you want to see this code from the uh, code, what I'm showing from the video itself, it's okay. You don't want to buy this, and you want to, you can get the similar code from the Google or any LLM, then you can do it. It's not mandatory that you have to do it. But if you need this, you can download it by paying just 3 rupees, guys. Okay, thanks for watching. And if you need such videos, please do follow my page and follow my Instagram page, thedatatech.n, and then my YouTube channel is the datatech. With there also you can follow. And then I made 20 hours of mastering big data engineering course freely uploaded in YouTube videos. You can go and have a look. Thanks for watching, guys.